In 1851, before there was a school, a hospital, or even a paved road in the San Ramon Valley, a group of pioneers organized what is now known as the Community Presbyterian Church in Danville, with the hopes of bringing the gospel and life change to the valley and beyond. This diligent core of people slowly but faithfully began to care for the physical and spiritual needs of the community. And as time passed, the town of Danville and its neighboring communities began to become more and more developed. This development translated into the increase of needs in the community and ultimately exponential numerical growth for CPC. This would be the first of many waves of growth to come. With growth came the opportunity to erect the New England Chapel in 1875. This new building allowed for new practical and tangible ways to serve the community. From weddings and funerals to relevant teaching and worship times on Sunday, CPC and its people served the valley well. And over the next 50 years, this historic chapel became a beacon of hope in the community and a visible representation of the hard work and prayers of those early pioneers and their desires to reach the community for Christ. And the people of Community Presbyterian Church became synonymous with a loving community bent on helping people meet Christ and live as his disciples. On a fateful morning in May of 1932, the New England Chapel caught fire and was completely destroyed. This, however, did not stop the movement of CPC from keeping in step with the founder's vision of bringing good news to Danville and its surrounding communities. God blessed the faithfulness of this church by continuing the wave of growth and increasing the platform of influence, even without a building. Well, within a year, a new building was erected, dedicated, and reopened to the community, and the people of CPC kept on serving the people of the valley. At the centennial mark in the life of the church, they had seen such growth and life transformation that a move to a new facility was warranted, with 2 additional facility expansions occurring over the next 6 years. The new wave of growth during this season primarily came from young families. And therefore, music, messaging, outreach initiatives, and programs were adjusted to better reach this growing demographic within the church. Around this time, a new system for teaching children was also adopted, and subsequently, Sunday school facilities were soon added. The strength of CPC quickly became its ability to care for the needs of the whole family, but especially children. In fact, within a decade, a preschool was established, and the beginning of a private K-8 academy soon followed. All of these changes were made under the pioneers' guiding principles of providing for the needs of the people in the valley. As this mission prevailed, so did God's hand over the church. Well, by the late 1970s, a new and larger sanctuary was built to accommodate for all of the life transformation that was occurring within the valley. As with the previous waves of growth, CPC had discovered a newfound passion to reach all generations for Jesus and re-examined the existing expressions of faith, musical preferences, dress styles, and programming to better meet the needs of the people of the valley. In fact, a full-time counseling center was even launched to provide professional hope for the areas of addiction, loss, conflict, anxiety, depression, and marital communication, to name a few. CPC had truly become an intergenerational center of hope in the community. The church reached its peak of growth in the early 2000s, but by this time there was no more land to acquire or space to build upon. Simultaneously, the landscape of CPC had changed as the 1990s were met with moral failures from senior leadership, money laundering, and even lawsuits. The new senior leadership team had become so inwardly focused on restoring order that by the time the scandals were cleared up, the congregation was now aged and not reaching as many young families. To return to the mission of the pioneers of the church, an innovative way to reach and serve young families in the valley was created. The Video Cafe began in 2002 with the sole purpose of providing contemporary music, relevant teaching, and a welcoming environment to children, students, and adults in a casual environment. This new video venue provided additional space for growth and created new and exciting opportunities to reach all generations as a unified church. Both venues increasingly became full. Young families came by the hundreds. Baptisms, life commitments, and membership in the church were at an all-time high, and the name of CPC was once again strong in the community. From prison ministries, grief and divorce care, local and global mission trips, serve day efforts, church plants, and weekend worship experiences, Community Presbyterian Church is still meeting the palpable needs of the community and people of San Ramon Valley. However, the growth of CPC in both membership and attendance is currently down by 40% since 2006. The transition of 17 key staff members, including the senior pastor, over the last 9 months has also shifted the outward focus of the church once again. To make matters worse, the venues that once provided an opportunity for growth and unity have now become a source of division within the church. Though venues are not the main culprit of the drop of attendance, they do represent the larger problem, mainly division. No longer do the venues embody the mission of diverse expressions as a unified and intergenerational church. Instead, they in many ways represent two separate churches sharing the same physical location and whose main distinctions are now merely age and personal preference. The sanctuary, comprised of now mostly 55 years and up, is largely funding the church and giving little attention to the younger generation. The video cafe, on the other hand, is comprised of the young families it was intended to reach. Now, only they are increasingly feeling like second-class citizens in a video venue and unwelcome by the older congregants. Well, hope is not lost for CPC in this present reality. Clearly, this is not the first time hardship has hit this community of faith, nor is it the first time that the need for pioneering new ways to better serve the community is needing to be deployed. Over 165 years, God has been faithful to this church, its people, and its influence in the valley. As a new leadership team has prayed, dreamed, and labored over the current problems, two things remain certain. One, God is not finished building His church. And two, we are better together, not separate. Therefore, after 17 years apart, we are dissolving venues and unifying as a church in both physical location and heart. We do this to end petty divisions and realign in purpose and deed. United, we can collectively worship and celebrate our faith, our rich history as a church, and embrace the gift of our intergenerational church. Together, we will once again follow in the footsteps of those who have gone before us by setting our sights outwardly on reaching people, following Christ, and serving our valley. Our hope is that as we do this, we will see God grow this church and its influence for decades to come. As we demonstrate love by meeting the needs of the people in the valley, our prayer is that we will see the gap of the 95% of the San Ramon Valley that is unchurched or dechurched diminish. God is still moving in this valley. He is still looking for pioneers to blaze new trails for waves of growth ahead. The best is truly yet to come.